Are you guilty of anything in this case?
Absolutely not. Not one thing. I'm guilty of being naive. I've learned that. There is no prisoner more naive than a lawyer prisoner. Because you know where the rules, where the lines are, and you know what the rules are, so you figure, well, they can't do me. Man, did you get the name of that truck that hit me? Is the way I think, is what I've been saying to people around me for the last year and a half. Because they've been doing the stuff that I know they can't do. At the U.S. Supremes, with this filing today, we have given them 2 documented instances of the federal prosecutor, one, admitted having listened to recordings, and another where she uses information against me that she only could get from a recording to save herself, by the way, from an ethics charge. We have 2 instances of they opening mail to lawyers that are marked legal mail on the outside, and the addressee is an attorney at law. They actually produced them back to me in discovery with the government Bates number stamps on them. Okay? And then we have 2 instances of information surfacing and being used that was exchanged in confidence with my lawyer in one of those sealed attorney-client interview booths, one in the courthouse, one in Spokane County Jail.
And I'm sure that Mr. Hoyt would provide that information to us if we asked him for it.
Sure. I authorize him to do that. Tell him I said so. I'll give it to you if what I've got.
I don't see a problem with him giving it to us. He's been really forthcoming. So.
Yeah. Well, there's no reason not to. We haven't done anything wrong. Okay? I'm innocent, like they say in the movies.
Is there, are you prepared for what could happen at your sentencing? That they could say, you're going away for 50, 60 years?
They're going to say, I'm going away for 50, 60 years.
But you're not going to look at that as the end at all?
Absolutely not. How can I? Look, I'm 66. I'm in poor health. You don't get any opportunity for exercise in here. I'd kill for an exercycle, right? Oh, I shouldn't use that phrase, should I? I'd love to have an exercycle in here. Because I've healed from everything, but I'm in the worst shape of my life physically. The minute I get out of here, I start running again and whatnot. But at my age, 10 years in prison is a death sentence. It doesn't matter what they give me. It's all, hell, give me 1,000 years, Judge. Put me in the Guinness Book of World Records. It doesn't matter to me.
Do you see why, especially the way things have been put out so far, that a lot of people think you're the villain in this case?
A lot of people do think I'm the villain in this case. Why does... Oh, well, there are 12 people in Boise that I know of for sure. That's where my trial took place, you know. But the mindset is my government wouldn't do that. And I've known this as a trial lawyer. When you bring in a government employee in uniform, particularly a state trooper, that guy is God to the jury. They absolutely believe anything they say. They believe anything an FBI agent tells them. They don't want. It's like what you said earlier. Well, maybe she doesn't want to believe that you would actually do that. Well, imagine what you'd think of your government trying to take you down. Would you want to believe that? Would you do everything in your power to not believe that? And that's why I'm perceived as a bad guy. You know, I've had to deal with this with every politically incorrect case that I've had, where they've confused me with my client. I've represented homosexuals in my career, but I've never been accused of being homosexual. I've represented black people. I've never been accused of being black. I've represented lots of Mexicans. I've never been accused of being Mexican. I mean, it'd be a sad state of affairs if your lawyer was as guilty as his client, wouldn't it? But when it comes to the politically incorrect, if you represent them, you are them. How odd. How did we get to that situation? Yes, Eric Holder was right. We do need to have a dialogue about race in this country.
I'm going back to something you said at the very beginning when you said you wanted one big case to end your career. Are you turning a simple case into that big case?
How could I turn it? First of all, I'm in custody. The first year I was in custody, I was held in max security, solitary confinement. I was denied access to hardly anybody. I was essentially held incommunicado. I couldn't turn anything into anything during that period. I mean, what we got now is what happened while I was kept silent. You didn't hear anything from me during that year, did you? Yeah, well, nobody did, except my lawyers and the prosecutors, of course, because they heard everything my lawyers heard.
What about your wife?
My wife is a sweetheart, a heart of gold. Every time I see her, my heart leaps up. She's my buddy, my partner, my lover, my co-worker. She's a part of me. I can't imagine life without her. And being without her for this year and a half in jail has driven us crazy. I talk to her every day on the phone. That's not enough. I have to pay 50 cents a minute. It's worth every penny of it, by the way. I'm 66. I got a woman that's better than I deserve by far. What about my wife, by the way?
And your kids?
Oh, I got the world's greatest kids. I got 3 kids, and I love them all dearly.
This must be really hard on them, on your whole family.
It's hard on everybody. It's hard on my friends. You know, I haven't lost a single friend. I haven't had a single family member who for a moment has thought I was guilty. What does that tell you?
I don't want to go on forever because I don't want to run out of tape and not be able to use a lot of what you're saying, but I think we've covered a lot. What's the parting shot? I mean, people who either maybe they've already made their mind up about you, or people who might be listening thinking, God, maybe this guy's onto something. What do you want people to make sure they take away?
Gee, I thought we were going to get to the good part.
I thought we were in the good part.
I was saving that. You know, the government corruption, the things that were done wrong here, how it all adds up to a guilty sentence that needs to be reversed, how this is a case that's bigger by far than the facts of the case because it applies to people and it showcases government misconduct that needs to be stopped. The U.S. Constitution, like George Bush said, is just a goddamn piece of paper. That's the way they view it. That's the way they treat it. They make up their rules. The Sixth Amendment says I have a right to an attorney. That means confidential communication. I'm not allowed to talk to an appellate attorney right now in confidence. The judge has ruled I have to get his permission, give him the guy's name, tell him what I want to talk to him about. I'm not going to do that. That means I can't talk to an appellate attorney, and in 3 weeks I got to file an appeal. How am I supposed to do that? Particularly since if I talk to an appellate attorney, I know the U.S. Marshal Service is going to be recording it and giving it to the prosecutor. That's a significant thing, and it goes on all the time. It needs to be stopped. My case is much bigger than the facts of it, as witness this writ that we have just filed. I've done a 20-page plain language write-up. I encourage you to read it. It's about nothing but the attorney-client invasion. And there are other things in my case that are bigger than it too, but that's the big one. The misconduct that is proven and showcased in my case, federal prosecutor misconduct, governmental misconduct, U.S. Marshal Service misconduct, judicial misconduct, at every step of the way.
And you think this happens all the time. You're just the one.
I know it happens all the time.
You're just the one to say enough. We got to call it as we see it.
How do you think they convict 211 out of 212 people that get charged and brought to trial in the federal system? Do you really think all those people are guilty?
Maybe they're only bringing them to trial if they know they have enough to convict.
Well, they only bring them to trial if they know they can get a conviction. But most of them don't really get convicted as they plead out because they get a case that's set up against them so strongly. They haven't got the money. I mean, I'm the $1 million man. How can I fight that? They've got unlimited resources, your tax dollars. How do you feel about that? Your tax dollars are being used to destroy the U.S. Constitution. It ain't right. We need to do something about it. And if there is something that my case should stand for, it is that principle. It is time to start marching back from the precipice of full-on tyranny in America. It is time for us to go back to a constitutional government of laws, not the government of people that we've had for the last 50 years or so. It is time. And you see it in the people, too. People are trying to figure out what Occupy Wall Street is all about. Occupy here, occupy there. They're all about the same thing. It is mistrust, distrust, and dissatisfaction on the part of American citizens with government. Government that has gone too far. And that's what my case stands about. And I want to change that. I want to see us marching back from that to a period when we have true justice, true equality. Equality for everyone. All races, all creeds, all religions. No special dispensations or favors for anyone. That's what I advocate. I'm called a white supremacist for that. I don't think I'm better than anybody else. That's what I would call a white supremacist who says, well, he's a different race and I'm white, therefore I'm better than he is. People say that. They're nuts for saying that. I mean, can you thinking you're better than somebody else because of their skin color? I can't imagine anything more stupid than that, frankly. There are lots of good reasons to dislike people. You don't have to resort to racism.
So the Occupy movement, you think it is a step in what you stand for?
Absolutely is. No question about it. They claim they don't understand it. Why do they claim they don't understand it? Because they're locked in the grip of, I want my job renewed. I want to be a congressman again. And so they're on the air talking about, oh, this doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense. I perfectly understand why those people are out there. They're angry. And they're not just angry with government. They're angry with that shadowy structure behind government that's even stronger than government that runs government. That's why I asked you earlier, which ladder do you want me to go up? The establishment ladder? Or do you want me to go up the shadowy ladder that really runs America and the world? Because it goes high up on that ladder. In government, I like to think that it doesn't go up to things like elected officials or Eric Holder or Barack Obama, certainly. Barack Obama is just a bum, I think, just an overambitious empty suit. I think he could be a good president. He's just squandered his opportunity is all. Now, I'm saying that about a guy that everybody says is black, by the way, and I'm supposedly this racist. What's wrong with this picture?